Hi guys, welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. I'm Jim. I'm here with my partner Steve, and it's June 13th, 2020.
Yes,
Beautiful
it is.
day in New Jersey. That's
It's
for
a
sure.
beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the neighborhood.
I'm not even sure I could watch that movie, even though it's Tom Hanks playing Mr.
Won't you
Rogers.
be mine? Won't you be mine?
I know, and we laughed. He was like a World War II guy, so he
Right.
gets 2 thumbs up. You
I
know?
don't laugh at Fred Rogers.
Absolutely
Fred
not.
Rogers was a great American.
You
did
bet.
A great service. Was genuine. About kids' education and.
He sure was.
Gee, were there some questions there about Fred? Yeah, but he was
Why?
a father.
Because of his sweaters?
Yeah,
You know.
you can infer. But
I love wearing Mr. Rogers type sweaters, actually. on
we
a
do
cold day.
too here at Sports with Mono and Mono. The first one to send an email in will get a.
What color Mr. Rogers jersey did he wear on the famous, when he met the mailman or something?
Exactly.
But anyway, welcome back, guys, and thanks for joining us. And Steve, it's still kind of a crazy time. I'm not sure where we're going here, but we're a sports show, and we're looking to talk about sports, and sports is starting to come back, and we're going to delve into that.
Well, you know what? It was quite refreshing this Thursday. Turn on the TV and see the PGA in a live event on TV. Okay, so the Colonial is being played in Dallas, Texas, which is Ben Hogan's backyard.
I believe it's the Charles Schwab being played at Colonial. With,
Well,
I'm
Right.
semantics,
But
but
it is, that type of thing. But Ben Hogan, 1949, was in a horrific car accident.
Oh, my
He
God.
actually got sideswiped by a bus.
and won a major less than 2 years later.
Well, 14 months later, he actually won this tournament. But he was banged up to say the least, and
It was one of those, he's never playing golf again, much less
Wow.
survive.
Totally.
And then he comes back, and you're right, that's his course.
Especially like with the medicine, like it was back then. It was like if you took a shot in the Civil War and
Horrific
in your
condition.
calf, say goodbye leg,
Right.
type of thing. But Ben Hogan came back. I think he won the tournament 5 times. Nonetheless, they're playing. The names are there. Spieth is in the mix.
I know the players are there.
Sander Schauffele,
Yep.
Harold Varner the second. So wouldn't it be apropos if Harold should pull off the victory here and
He's an up and coming. These are the young guns kind of thing.
McIlroy
right?
sniffing around, guys like that. Justin Rose got off to a good start, but at least golf, it's back, meaning it's a step forward to hopefully normalcy.
And I got to tell
Slowly
you, because
but surely.
I got a text from one of our listeners, Mike Garvey down in Naples, who's a big golf fan. He's trying to watch it, and I go, it's almost hard for me to watch this right now. That's all we got.
I agree.
With no crowd and so forth, but
It's tough to watch without people saying, "Get in the hole, get in
exactly
the hole."
right. Or Baba Booey, believe that nonsense still goes on. There's
course.
idiots out there that actually say that.
It's been going on for decades.
But you're right. So golf is coming back, and they're going to start. Even the Memorial, I think they said they were going to let people in, but you got to wear a mask. And I'm
Sure.
like, I'd wear a mask to go see the Memorial. Wouldn't you?
There's nothing like standing in 100-degree weather outside watching a golf tournament with
Exactly.
with a mask.
Hopefully, you have tickets for one of those complimentary tents and stuff, right?
Right.
But that's coming back. Yes, that's certainly
Slowly
coming back.
but surely.
And NASCAR, of course, for our NASCAR fans,
Yep,
that's back, right?
correct.
And
So-
they're running in front of empty stands right now, but that's going to change.
yeah, but they've I think they've gotten 3 or 4 races, maybe 5 already. Like Brad Keselowski's won a couple.
Can I ask one
Martin
question?
Truex Jr. just won the last race, and I believe there's a race tonight, if I'm not mistaken.
But maybe, Steve, you can explain this to me, how before, they're actually racing again. How do you win a virtual race? Right? They were like literally, doing trophy and Zoom meetings
Yeah.
for guys that won virtual racing.
Well,
Isn't this like Madden and NBA?
It's the
you know?
exact same thing. So actually, in the interim, simulation sports has been going on.
Yes,
To
it
your
has.
point, Madden and that type of thing, where, listen, Vegas is actually taking bets on, it could be the Detroit Lions playing the Chicago Bears, and all it is, a computer. It's
And guys
Ga-
running their thumbs.
Gary Kasparov versus Big Blue
Yeah.
type of thing, right?
Yeah.
But in the interim, they're taking bets on this, so it's
They're taking bets on virtual
on
racing.
they call it simulated.
Simulated.
Or sim.
What does this world
That-
come to?
That's exactly the point. What does the sports world come to?
So,
Hopefully we hit rock bottom and golf is back. The NHL is returning July 10th, meaning they're going to training camps and things of that nature. Right?
listen, yep, we're starting to dive into the stuff we want to talk about, and of course, this first segment is sponsored by Coriano Trucking
Yep.
of Haverstraw, New York. Hope they're doing well and things
Loyal
are good.
sponsor. Thanks, Guy.
You bet. So, Steve, let's jump right back into it. You know, we talked that golf's coming back. We know we're going to talk about the Belmont in a little bit because that's coming back. But the big sports, baseball, football, right? It's all coming back.
Basketball and hockey.
And again, I don't know what's going on in the Major League Baseball world, but
Well, let's stay on hockey.
okay, well, it's coming back.
We'll knock it. Yeah, exactly. So July 10th, and I don't even if they know what venues are in action, but hockey will continue. As diehard New York Ranger fans,
Yeah.
we got to be lucky in the fact that if the season played out the way it was, they most likely would have missed the playoffs by, 3-4 points, something like that. But we all know the Rangers in a rebuild, and they're progressing nicely. But
All right, we got to get off
they're,
the.
they're going to play the Carolina Hurricanes in this play-in format, which would be 3 out of 5.
And let's call it what it is. It's not a hockey season. It's a tournament.
It's a tournament.
It's a tournament.
Let's call it the Olympics.
And yes, we're starving for it, but I gotta say, I've enjoyed watching some old Islander and Edmonton Oilers and the Rangers winning the Stanley Cup in '93. I mean,
yeah.
'94. It's.
This is all asterisk stuff, of course. I don't care
Okay.
who wins what.
So we know hockey's coming back, and it's a tournament.
Right. So now next, the NBA. So the NBA, I think they were going to start earlier in July, but the latest is now that they're not going to start till July 30th. But they're going to all arrive in Disney Village type of thing.
All with quotes. All.
No, meaning the teams that have been, there's 22 teams that will show up for this.
No, but what I was indicating there was there's some guys that are saying, maybe this is
Yeah, well,
this isn't cool, and
that's what I was leading up to. Is they're all going to show up, and now there's cracks already in the, in the egg here.
NBA teams, yeah.
And there's guys who are saying, hey, okay.
And
And then and I know with the egos involved. So if LeBron James,
exactly what I was going to say, says I'm not going.
he's going. My point is, if LeBron James gets a Rolls Royce golf cart, and the 7th player on the roster is relegated to, not so nice golf
I know
cart.
where you're going.
I'm being facetious, but it's going to be little, stupid, little
But you're not being.
insults and.
Let me tell you why you're not being facetious, and that this is reality. This is the guy. He's the commissioner of the NBA.
He is the NBA.
He
right
is
now.
the NBA, and if he says I'm not playing with a mask, or I don't, if I don't get my private hotel, it could blow up this whole thing. And believe me, if LeBron James does it, then 10 other marquee players are going to do it, and the NBA season's going to. Because all it is, isn't this just a tournament too?
It is,
It's
but
a tournament.
I'm not putting much stock in it. Is there going to be some controversy? Yes. But the NBA is playing. I talked about Adam Silver last week. Adam Silver is, I think, the best commissioner of all the sports right now.
Active commissioners.
And the fact that, they've planned this out,
Yep.
this is happening. So
Okay.
I just think, again, there's nothing really to talk about from a media standpoint, so any stupid little thing will be news. building up to.
And I'm going to go on record as saying, right now, and we're going to talk about baseball in a second, because that's still up in the air. Although I agree with you, they're going to play some form of baseball,
Oh, they're
tournament wise.
They're
It's going to be a tournament,
No,
but we'll get into why I think that's a little bit different. But the NBA, that's in jeopardy. I'm not 100% sure, and I'm going to say right now, I would rather them just cancel the season. Do we just need asterisks all over the place
Well, it's
saying
gonna happen.
it was a tournament?
yeah, would I like to see this? Not necessarily, because we've already we're in the third quarter now of this COVID thing, and
Right.
it's condition, it's mental condition, and
Yep.
so on and so forth. My point about the NBA, they're playing. Now, if we shift gears to Major League Baseball, they're the last of these 4 majors to not have a definitive start date, a definitive how many games are we playing, that type of thing. But they're playing.
But this is where I come in and say I'd rather them just not, because baseball is 162 games, and that's what makes the season. So, okay.
Not this year. But Rob Manfred in Major League Baseball,
Is it going to happen?
they have the nuclear option. If they want to start the season, they got to start the season. They're trying to negotiate it. Okay? They're trying to work this out. It's been up to 114 games from the players, and it's been as low as what you said,
69 or whatever.
Even lower.
a lower
something
number.
Silly. I think at the end of the day, it'll probably be a 79 to 82 game schedule. And
But every
their
day
target date is Halloween, no later than Halloween, to crown a World Series champion. Asterisk or 2 asterisks.
it's an asterisk. Again, I'm on board saying I'd rather them just cancel the season, because baseball, that's what makes baseball baseball. 162 game season and injuries and the whole thing.
But we know that, and it's,
Yeah.
it's just not happening. But in baseball, I wanted to bring something up.
Go ahead.
So I think it was 2 days ago. See an interview, or read an interview with Alex Cora. So Alex Cora was at
The disgraced Boston Red Sox manager.
You know what? I got to tell you something.
He did confess he had a hand in some of this.
Listen, my point about Alex Cora is it was quite refreshing to hear from him.
I like him, actually.
You know what? That's what I'm building up to.
All right, go ahead.
Is I think I've been turned, and the reason being is Alex Cora was very contrite. He was absolutely honest and open.
That his fingerprints are on the gun.
Well, his point is, and we're talking the Houston scandal. So the
Right,
fact
we're going back
that
3
him
years.
and Carlos Beltran are being singled out as the only 2 guys that.
Well, they're the senior guys that are in charge, so if they knew, everybody knew.
My
right?
point is, Alex Cora said, we did this as a team, okay? There isn't one guy that's not culpable.
Complicit.
Complicit, okay?
Okay.
And then this disgraced GM, Jeff Lunau, who got fired, Cora said, really? Oh, really? This
You
guy
think the
got-"
boss didn't know?
That type of thing.
Okay.
But Alex Cora was very, very, I was very impressed with it. And he was accepting ownership. He's saying, listen, I got to pay my penance. And I'm being, punished now. He'll be back. And
I got to ask
I just
you.
wanted to mention about Alex Cora that I thought it was quite, I was impressed by him. And surprisingly, I was.
Okay, so do
And
your
he'll be
time.
back. He's a good manager.
Yeah, he'll be like Bernie Carrick, the disgraced police
But
commissioner.
it was
now he's on-
refreshing. He's like, yeah, we did it. Yeah.
That means he's coming back. He's paid
Well,
his.
of course he's
you know,
coming back. He's going to miss a year. He'll be back in the saddle for the 2021.
But I got to ask you
22 season. most
since
likely.
you seem to know a little bit more about this than I do. What about the electronic thing? Was he there? Did somebody ask him the question? Did you know if Altuve was wired?
He's not going to go into that kind of detail.
But
So
did
you and
anybody
I-
ask him the
No,
question?
but you and I debated this. I think you're being naive that
There was no electronic thing up and down
I'm saying there was.
Alex Bregman's leg that said, here comes a
Jose
curveball.
Altuve's leg.
Only Altuve?
I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I'm saying don't be naive to think with technology and everything else.
I would have loved for a reporter to actually ask Alex Cora,
Listen,
did he wear a wire? Did he wear a wire?
right. So what is he going to say? No comment. Next question.
That means...
So my point is,
I got
when you and I debated this, the game of operation, we grew up. Okay, listen, if a board game could make a sound back in
Operation.
1966 or something,
Exactly.
believe me, Jose Altuve could put a thing for like an EKG that you go for,
I'm still going to
and
say...
somebody could hit the bell and go.
I'm
first
still going to
ball.
say it's impossible for me to believe
Well,
that, you know.
I think you're being naive.
Okay.
So Major League Baseball, they're still negotiating prorated salaries, all this nonsense. They got to get it done. They
All right.
will.
So let's move on real quick, and we'll
and,
talk
and,
about...
and if anybody disagrees or agrees or what have you,
Where should they send an email?
they should
Steve?
send an email to sports with mono
Yeah.
gmail.com.
Like James Walsh, who sent an awesome email last week addressing some of the points we talked
Well,
about.
I'm glad you mentioned James Walsh. I have a shout out for Mr. Walsh at the end of the show.
Excellent, because he's a loyal listener. Listen, before we move on, we'll talk about the NFL in that upcoming scenario. I want to say this is sponsored by Lynch Motors of Manchester, Connecticut, who was a loyal listener, and we talked about Mike last week. He's excited. Looks like things are breaking. He's going to get his boat out in Rhode Island, up in Narragansett.
He is.
Point Judith, I think, is actually where he docks his boat.
And he can't wait to break Michael Jordan's record of the week of a 442 Marlin.
Whoa. And they named it M23, I think, actually.
Whatever Michael wanted to name it with his crew, believe me, I'm sure it had something to do with it.
That's why we go fishing out of Narragansett every year to catch that, and we
Well-
never caught anything close. But good, I'm glad you brought that up. That's sports related.
Yeah, I mean, you're an ocean fisherman. I've never done it. Give me, what does 442 pound Marlin mean? Is that top?
Is it world record?
Yeah,
No.
that's my question.
You know, but is it prominent? Oh, yeah.
You won your conference championship by catching that thing?
They won this very prominent marlin fishing tournament off the coast of North Carolina. And that's a big deal.
So
Big,
400
big deal.
What would that take to haul in?
Probably 5 hours.
You need a crane on top of the
No, you need
boat?
five. You need 5 guys. Talk about this. Say, there's a fish on the hook, and then 5 hours later, you're reeling this thing in. Think of that.
So what? Are all 5 are on this, or are they taking turns holding?
No,
this
there's only one guy. There's one Quint from like Jaws sitting in the chair with
for
his
5
belt
for
on.
5 hours.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, that's cool.
Maybe longer.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about a world record, Marlin, 8 hours wouldn't be inconceivable.
Right. Man, but I wanted to make mention of that. I thought that was
Good
pretty
call.
cool.
I
Yeah.
forgot about that, and that's Jordan's legacy. You know, now that's a fish we fishermen dream of, and he's got it because he's Michael Jordan.
When does he get inducted to the Fisherman Hall of Fame now? Is he going to wear 23 or 45?
I'm not sure. He put the worm on the hook.
Yeah. I'm going to assume Michael had nothing to do with this.
Oh, but very good. That's sport fishing big time. I aspire to catch a marlin like that. My biggest fish was 35 pounds. A mahi-mahi.
Ooh.
And that took me 20 minutes.
Oh, it was a monster, let me tell you. Oh, sheesh.
If it was foot, it was a mile.
Oh,
Costanza.
took me 18 minutes to reel that baby in.
Anyway, but thanks to Lynch Motors of Manchester,
Of
we
course.
really do
Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
Mike. Thank you, Mike.
So, Steve, the NFL looks like that's on schedule. Things are going to work out. It's going to be a season. It's going to be a season like no other because for other reasons. But training camps are opening. They're going to work,
It's an assumption.
right?
As of now, things are trending where
They're going to probably maybe knock off a couple of preseason games and stuff, which nobody plays in anyway.
yeah. as of now, the NFL, there's really no news other than, of course, with the social issue going on where, Roger Goodell made a statement. Yeah, we missed the boat on African American players. And then you got Colin Kaepernick back in the news. And the reason I want to bring him up is Pete Carroll made a comment, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago.
That he made a mistake by
Well,
not
in
signing him?
2017, Pete in retrospect now, Pete feels maybe they should have signed Colin and this, that, and the other thing.
But I would
I
ask,
find that disingenuous. I find it disgusting.
because
I find
I'm
it
glad you brought it up.
to be a PR stunt. And you know what?
Because
maybe we're in the minority in our opinion on this.
But Pete Carroll has the
Pete
authority
Carroll,
in Seattle. If he said, I want Colin Kaepernick, and somebody said, well, you can't have him because,
Right.
that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So now Pete Carroll saying, well, we evaluated him and, he didn't fit our system.
No.
Right?
Right.
That's your ingenuous statement. You're
Disingenuous.
disingenuous.
However, I'm not going to put it all on Pete Carroll. We have to put some of this on Colin Kaepernick.
And us cutting slack for Pete Carroll, I'm anxious to hear this.
the reason I'm saying that is Colin Kaepernick never really came off his salary demands. He was asking for $20 million as a backup quarterback. Sorry, not happening. I don't care about.
He took a team to the Super Bowl.
Okay. But I'm not paying you $20 million to be a backup quarterback because the NFL salary cap, I just looked it up. It's $198 million right now.
And Steve, what was his record? Last 15 games as a starting quarterback.
Not good.
3-12, something like that.
Right, but the point is, you got a 53 man roster. As of right now, the NFL salary cap is $198 million per team. So what that means 3 years ago was probably, I don't know, $170 million.
And that's exactly what we're talking about.
So you're going to pay Russell Wilson, and I'm sure in 17, I think Russell Wilson probably signed his contract.
In 18, I think.
18-ish, that type of thing.
Yeah.
My point being is, really, we're going to give you 20. We're going to give, and Russell. My only point is, I'm gonna. Two quarterbacks are going to take a third, basically, in salary of the whole salary cap. That's not happening.
All right.
So it was never going to happen. Back to the Pete Carroll. I think it was disingenuous, and I think it was a publicity stunt, and I saw it right through it.
Okay.
But don't be surprised if somebody signs Colin Kaepernick to training camp for PR purposes.
But don't you think if somebody signs him now, that almost validates the fact that he was blackballed and nobody could sign him because of what he did?
Sure.
And I love the fact that you brought the Pete Carroll thing
It's the
up.
elephant in the room.
And I keep saying, I know he was 3-12, and then somebody said, yeah, but he took a team to the Super Bowl and almost won it.
Right.
So,
outside of that, the NFL, no real significant news.
it's going to happen.
And if they go to training camp, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that's been new. Oh wait, Antonio Brown.
Don't even tell me somebody, have I been in a cave that I
No.
don't know?
No. Oh, Antonio went to court. Antonio is not going to face jail time. You'll be happy to know for his latest antics.
Escapades, if
Yeah,
you will.
Antonio's going to do some 2 years of probation and 100 hours of community service for, in the moving company he came over.
Okay. You know,
As of right now, AB isn't signed yet.
okay, let's move on.
That's how bad we're starving for news here.
Well, here, we're not starving because before we move off the NFL, I want to tell you, and again, Steve and I always bow to documentaries that are awesome. And I told you, we talked about, or we actually didn't bring it up. I wanted to bring up the Troy Aikman, The Football Life, which was awesome.
I've seen multiple times.
And I even told Steve,
And for our audience, no, he's not gay.
I don't even know what that means.
I have to make that statement.
All right. But
Not
I'm
that
telling
there's
you,
anything wrong with it, of course.
I know how awesome he was as the quarterback of the Cowboys with 3 Super Bowls, but this actual football life won me over. He was awesome from start to finish, and I completely changed my opinion. That's full disclosure on the Sports with Mono and Mono show. It was great.
I don't have to change my opinion.
I know. You've always had it. Now I
I
agree
changed
you were
mine on
right.
Alex Cora, so you're changing yours on Troy Aikman.
Yep, I am.
That's a unique show.
But a football life I watched, it's not, and again, this actually was worthy of a 2-part football life. Could you take a guess who the NFL Network would have done a 2-part A Football Life documentary on?
Have they?
They did. I just watched it. I'm going to tell you who it is in a second. Take one guess.
A 2-part. Who's worthy of a 2-part?
He was so prominent in his sport at this level. I'll give you as a coach. If I say it's a coach, now you know
It's
who
got to
it
be
is.
Belichick.
Vince Lombardi.
Oh, even better.
Even better.
Right.
And
When-
you and I both read the book,
When Pride Mattered.
When Pride Mattered.
And I actually saw the play on Broadway, and you know who played Vince Lombardi?
Don't even say Ernest Borgnine.
Well, yeah, Ernie unfortunately died after 320 years on this
He played
planet.
Vince Lombardi in the movie.
It was Dan Lauria, the father from Wonder Years,
absolutely. I know who it was.
and the wife was played by Judith Light from Who's the Boss.
Oh, we need a carton of
I
martinis.
saw this at Circle in the Round.
Awesome.
My ex-wife.
Awesome.
It was a birthday present, and when I tell you, it was fantastic because I had read the book, and
it's one of the great. I actually made a
it's
comment
really one of the best books ever.
to Lucy the other day. I said this was one of the greatest books I ever read.
Yes,
And I could never remember exactly how to pronounce it. Dave Moranis, something like that.
David Marinus.
But it was an unbelievable documentary.
And
This guy
and
was
actually,
awesome.
I met him, Mr. Marinus.
Is that right?
That's a true story.
He later went on to become the publisher of the Washington Post.
That's correct. So as 5 minutes before the show or 10 minutes, what have you, downstairs, he was there. I recognized him. Couldn't have been more gracious.
Outstanding.
Shook his hand. I mean, when I said this was a limited run, I think it was like a 3-week thing or something. But oh wow,
It's a seal here. It's a seal here, and
I-
right up.
I want to seal here and here.
They actually did one of the clips was John Madden, and I know you're a bigger fan of John Madden than I am, but he goes, I went to a coaching clinic, and Vince Lombardi was talking. You know what he talked about for 8 hours? The Green Bay sweep. For 8 hours. He goes, 4 hours, we took a break, came back, he talked about it for 4 more. It was unbelievable seeing the highlights of...
And the results speak for themselves.
And guys like Jerry Kramer, who goes, this guy's insane. He goes, no, he knows what he's talking about. He came up to
Insanely
Jerry
good.
Kramer. He goes, I was just screwing around. And Vince Lombardi said, I'm going to make you one of the best tackles ever in this league. And he did.
That's
It's
right.
It's unbelievable.
And I'll just finish on that because Forrest Gregg was a notable passing 2 months ago, something along those lines.
Forrest Gregg, no.
Yeah, Forrest Gregg passed away a couple years ago.
A couple of years ago, you said once.
No, recently.
No, he's gone away.
No. We talked about Forrest Gregg within the year. Absolutely. So
But he
the
was
fact
one of
that you're
Lombardi's
talking about-
guys.
Exactly, but that's the point. Like,
Yep.
They could talk for 8 hours Lombardi because of the Forrest Greggs, right? The Kramers, the
But the footage
Willie
of him in his
Davis's.
house throwing these parties after the game, they weren't parties. He was all business.
Ah.
But his wife was walking around and she was,
it was
but she went to
cheesy.
every game
Absolutely.
the Green Bay Packers
Yeah,
ever played.
absolutely.
Marie.
Absolutely.
It
We're
was-
talking cheese and crackers downstairs and bring your BYOB.
Right, no windows and smoking like chimneys,
Who the hell's smoking down there?
Marie. Oh, then that's all right. But it's phenomenal. football life. It just
Ah.
ceases to amaze me. I love
If
it.
there's anybody, Vince Lombardi, definitely that is a good call.
And to read a book called When Pride Still Mattered,
Yep.
it's one of the best sports books. It's not only sports, it's life and,
It
and
is.
it's everything. This guy was going to be a priest.
Yes,
he was
he was.
considering being a priest.
Hey,
Anyway,
a
so
Florida man too, and
He
was
is.
He was one of the,
7 blocks of granite.
that is exactly right.
Yeah.
Right.
But there was a thing on this thing, that he was real good buddies with Wellington Mara, the owner of the Giants
I know.
at the time, and there was a deal
Boy,
in
they-
place
yeah.
that he was supposed to coach the Giants, and the owner of the Packers or the managing director, not the owner, because they're a public company, but.
Yeah.
And he said, "I don't know anything about that agreement. It's unbelievable." Watch it.
We're getting in the car and we're moving to Green Bay, Wisconsin.
And they interviewed his daughter and said, if I didn't want to do this, he goes, "You're doing it."
Get in the car.
A tyrant, but what a solid guy. He was going to be a priest. And he
Died
was
too young.
died. The Redskins thing was kind of funny. There's a whole football life on that too.
Listen, if he was healthy, trust me, he would have turned those Redskins around in a matter of 3 years, and the Redskins would have had
Yep.
a couple Super Bowls. No
But
problem.
listen, we're hoping all these sports come back in the NFL. It's one of the few sports that seems to have at least a chance of playing a complete season, not a tournament. Right? Right? Basketball, hockey's a tournament.
As of now,
You
yes.
get it. I don't know.
But I also want to bring this up. So I read this morning, actually. So the University of Houston,
Andre Ware,
Yeah.
Heisman Trophy
yeah,
winner.
you know, Akeem Olajuwon,
David
and-
Klinger.
right, a lot of names.
Yep.
But my point being, back to Corona, is 6 athletes tested positive within the last 24 hours from various sports, meaning they're doing volunteer workouts on campus, this, that, and the other thing. But 6. I'm just saying.
And all
that-
it takes is one, is what you're
Well,
saying.
all I'm just doing is throwing that out there, saying, are we out of the woods yet? Or are we all getting excited that everything's going to get back to normal? I don't know, and especially with all these protests going on, and the social distancing obviously has not been, adhered to. Like everybody was very stringent
Yep.
early on. I don't know. I just wanted to make mention that University of Houston, 6 athletes. I think girls, guys too.
And when we know if that
We
happens
shall
there, it could happen
just
somewhere
saying.
else.
This
You're
whole,
right.
This whole stuff could be shut down.
So now we're in the scenario of what happens if, right? And,
This
and
could-
the NBA starts and a hockey player gets corona. Did you shut it down and say we should have just shut it down since next
My
season?
only point is this could be phase 2 of Del Boca Vista.
My father's trying to install a puppet machine so he can wield power from behind the scenes.
A Seinfeld reference.
I got you. But listen, we're hoping it comes back, and we'll see how it is. There's tournaments coming back, and there's potential full seasons like for the NFL.
And the first one to respond will get a Willard. Another Seinfeld reference.
Of course. So listen, we're gonna move on from, but something is coming up, and it's the Belmont Stakes. And you and I, Steve, we talked about it last week. I'm a little disheartened that it's not the 1.5 miles that it should be,
Right.
because that's what always separated the Belmont Stakes from all the 2 other legs of the Triple Crown. So I wanted to bring this up because my horse that I thought was going to be was my favorite was Governor Morris, not running. So Tap It to Win seems to be the odds-on favorite.
Okay.
And it's hard for me to see that he's going to lose, but I do like Farmington Road as my finish in the top 3 type horse. It doesn't have the luster of the Big Browns and all these other, the Triple Crown, the American Pharaoh thing yet. But let's see how it goes. Listen, like I said, It's happening anyway. There's no audience in this. This place is empty, but the race is going to be run. I hate that it's not the third leg of the Triple Crown. It drives me crazy, but the Belmont Stakes is happening. So, Belmont Park, open for business.
Okay. Capacity crowd of 8.
That includes the jockey.
Okay.
But look, the Belmont Stakes, and listen, Kentucky Derby or no Kentucky Derby, I'll take it in September.
I get it,
Whatever.
but no, I mean, let's be real. I mean, horse racing has been decimated this year.
Oh.
You're not having the Kentucky Derby in May. You're not having the Preakness.
I know it's different. It drives me crazy.
It's not different. It's insane.
But you know what?
But it's happening. I get it.
And you and I were talking about Santa Anita, and it's the graveyard, and that was brilliant, and it's
Well, it is,
morbidity, if you will. But there was actually a thing on the New Jersey Turnpike. It happened like 10 racehorses killed in a car crash
Really? No, I didn't see that.
last week.
Oh,
I mean,
ouch.
this past week.
Oh,
Horrifying. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, things couldn't get worse for horse racing right now. That's hard. Imagine seeing that scene, being the first responder to that.
huh.
10 horses. But that's crazy,
You
right?
sure this wasn't a hit put on out by a trainer losing money on,
Right. Bob Baffert have anything?
on one of these horses?
No, it's a tragedy, but it just goes to what you and I have been talking about for the past few months about what's going on in horse racing and stuff. And we saw HBO Real Sports that gave us, an eye-opening expose on what's really going on.
Oh God, yeah.
But behind the scenes, that's what happens. But now we got the Belmont and the Triple Crown. It's going to run, but it's going to run in reverse. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking again. Back to my point. We're talking asterisks for baseball, hockey,
For everything.
Yeah, but horse racing, I don't even think you can put an asterisk because it's not the Triple Crown.
For me,
it's not. It's just not.
Oh, I agree with that, but it's an
To
asterisk.
me, my only point is there are no asterisks this year.
And if the Belmont's not a mile and a half, it's not a Triple Crown. That validates your point.
Not even.
I'm with you.
Exactly.
I'm with you.
Exactly.
So listen, let's move on. And Steve, tell us who our last segment is brought to us by.
Our last segment is sponsored by Di Filippi's Bakery in Monticello, New York, who is owned by Carmela.
Good
And,
blueberry pies.
Yeah, and
Maybe not.
Carmela is doing her Carmela thing. She's cooking for COVID. We've mentioned, please reach out to the website of Di Filippi's. There's a GoFundMe page if you want to contribute and donate. They're making meals for families in need, frontline workers, and
Steve, spell out Di Filippi's for us. 'Cause you know
Absolutely.
what? It could be an A, it could be an E,
it
could
only
be an
took
I.
me 2 years to figure it out, so I feel confident here. The spelling bee challenge here.
Please, I'm taking
Capital
notes.
D, small e, capital F.
Oh, those always screw me up.
ILIPPIS.
Excellent.
Okay? And
You're
I
doing good
actually
things
spoke
out
to
there.
her the other day, and she was just awarded a $5,000 grant from, I guess, the state of New York type of thing in recognition of her service, if you will.
Ongoing efforts helping.
Yeah. So we're
during
proud.
this time. It's
We're,
great.
we're proud to have Carmel and Di Filippi's Bakery. They've always been one of our biggest supporters and sponsors.
Excellent. Thank you. Di Filippi's Bakery. So we're going to start, our notable passings. And again, Steve, this is something that we don't like to discuss, but these are people that we know that have been, part of the sports world for years and years. So I got a few I want to mention. Notable passings. Ken Riley, defensive back for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Correct.
And again, we've talked about our Sunoco book.
Yep.
That's how we seem to know everything about NFL from
I'm sure we have more
1971 on.
listeners, so why don't you tell our audience what the Sunoco book is, Jim?
Sunoco book was back in 1971.
2, 3,
Right.
about a 3-year run.
And every time you got gas,
At Sunoco,
they
at
would
Sunoco
give,
gas
and you
station.
had to be Sunoco. They would give you these stamps, and we had this book, and you had to fill it out of every.
Stamps of
NFL players from all the NFL teams
Correct.
playing that year.
So each page had a team, and you got a stamp from, you know, when your mother went to go fill up, you know, the giant station wagon with,
Right, right.
and then we would salivate over this, and we would build our stamp books.
Yep.
And that's kind of helped us get to know players
And it was a little competition between
Correct.
us to, you know, we would fight over
who
these
got
stamps.
who. It's
Who's
like
bo-
Pokemon cards or
Right.
something back in the day.
Right, this is 40, 50 years ago now. It's
Right.
unbelievable. But that's what it was, and that's why we know somebody like Ken Riley,
That's exactly right.
who was an outstanding defensive player for the Cincinnati
He was a
Bengals.
quarterback, and wore number 13.
Yes, he did.
And Ken Riley passed away, and we
Yep.
wanted to say R.I.P. to Ken Riley.
And here's another guy that was in on the Atlanta Falcons
Yes.
page,
That is
right?
correct.
John Zook,
John Zuck.
who played with Hall of Famer Claude Humphrey on the opposite side. And again, people go, "Who's John Zook?" Well, John Zook was an outstanding NFL
He
player.
probably played with one Tommy Nobis, who's one of our favorite
Oh.
Atlanta Falcons.
You
of all
bet.
time.
University of Texas.
That's right,
Tommy
number
Nobis.
60. But John Zook, R.I.P. He passed away after we did the show
Yep.
last week. But, and I'll lead with the latest, Claudell Washington,
Mhm.
baseball.
Yep.
And
64 years old.
I think 61.
I saw 64.
It could be.
so
I
we're
mean,
gonna check.
early 60s. That's neither there or here. Thing about Claudell Washington, when I heard somebody reached out and said, "Hey, R.I.P. Claudell Washington," the quick text, right?
Yep.
And we know Claudell Washington, in the end of his career, played for the Yankees. We remember him as an Atlanta Brave, etc.
Oakland A's.
But that's what I'm leading up to. When I first thought when I heard he passed away, it took me a few minutes to realize and go back. He was a rookie on the 1974 World Series champion Oakland A's, which was the third of their third consecutive
3 straight. Yep.
World Series
Yep.
titles.
Sal Bando team.
Dick
Yep.
Williams,
Yep.
the whole thing.
Yep. Reggie.
And, but Claudell was a rookie in 1974. We got a World Series ring. And, yeah, he had a good career.
He had actually a very good
Very
career.
serviceable. And I think he played at least 15, 16 years.
But I actually, what caught me when I saw
Actually,
this,
I think 1990 he retired.
I thought he played longer for the New York Yankees than he did.
A cup of coffee, pretty much. Right?
86 to 88. You know who he was traded for?
Mm.
Ken Griffey Sr.
Oh, was he?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So I remember him in the Braves, but
Yeah.
he was a solid player.
It's funny you mentioned Ken Griffey Sr. because that was a big signing of the Yankees, right? Obviously, Ken Griffey was senior.
Big Red Machine,
Oh,
the
it's-
whole
it-
thing.
it-
The Don Gullets.
Instrumental, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And the only reason I bring it up is Ken Griffey Sr. hated being on the Yankees. Once he signed, wasn't a fit. And then the funny thing is Billy Martin was the manager, and Ken Griffey Jr. was, you know, the little kid running around the clubhouse.
Yep.
Somehow
Future Hall of Famer.
Somehow,
Yeah.
Billy, after 43 beers, may have got a little ornery with young Ken Griffey Jr. And at that point,
What are you going through my locker for?
he was never. Ken Griffey Jr. said, I would never play for the New York Yankees. But I remember that signing of Ken Griffey. He wore number 33, and just didn't pan out. It's like that Steve Kemp signing.
Yeah. Andy Messersmith.
Dave Collins, who
Andy Messersmith tripped
you know,
over first base in training
Steve
camp.
Rainbow Trout, who, you name it.
But Ken Griffey Sr. made a great catch. Remember, he climbed
Oh,
the
yeah.
walls in left field.
Sure
It's
did.
actually one of the very familiar great catch highlights in the left field.
That's right. It was actually kind of the precursor to
Yep.
Bo Jackson climbing the wall.
Right.
In that All-Star game catch.
That's right.
Right?
Yep. But we want to certainly mention Claudell Washington because he was a good
Oh, yeah.
player.
R.I.P.
I'm going to
Claudell.
say he played for 5 teams at least.
Yeah, he definitely played.
I know he played for the Braves. I know he played for the A's. you know, the Yankees.
I would say.
Mets,
Maybe.
possibly.
Yeah, but
Cup of
yeah,
coffee?
I would say no more than 5 teams. But R.I.P. Claudell.
Yep.
He was a great pro and a gentleman and well liked amongst his peers.
Yep.
So I got a shout out.
hold on. One more notable passing, and this is for our entertainment fans.
Uh-oh.
Bonnie Pointer of the
Oh.
Pointer Sisters, who's had tons of major league hits. They were awesome.
Sure.
69 years old,
All right, Bonnie.
right?
Yeah.
We're not just sports. We're
No,
entertainment.
we're entertainment. My apologies.
Maybe she sang the national anthem in a Major League Baseball game before, which would be kind of cool, actually.
R.I.P. Bonnie Pointer.
Yep. Make sure. All right, see,
All right.
give us a shout out because I got a couple as well.
All right, so my shout out, and again, I'm sure a lot of people getting jealous, like, oh, why they keep bringing up James Walsh, loyal listener? Because he's a loyal listener. He gives us feedback.
Yes,
etc.
he does.
And he's a great guy, and
Yep.
I actually work with him. So Mr. Walsh announced to me earlier this week that he's going to be a grandfather for the first time.
Good.
I think it's his son Michael is his oldest son, and
He's going to like it.
and and when he told me the news, he was thrilled, and we just wanted to say congratulations, Jim, to you and your family. And,
Excellent.
That's awesome, and I know my partner here
I'm very familiar with
has
it.
grandfather on his title.
And this was not rehearsed.
On his
The
resume.
segue here from James Walsh becoming a grandfather to me being a grandfather. I want my shout out is to my grandson Logan James Miller,
Logan James Mill, I've heard of him.
who just
I've met him actually.
I know it was kind of a virtual graduation, but he graduated top of his class at
Hey,
kindergarten.
Magna cum laude.
In kindergarten. But I couldn't be more proud. And when I hear like Jim Walsh, how much he's going to love being a grandfather, I love this young man, and he couldn't be more perfect. And he graduated. At the
What
top.
was Logan's thesis for kindergarten graduation?
Right, he probably did the Rubik's Cube. But I'm so proud of him. He's so perfect, and he did just graduate. And of course, you missed it too. Your son was unable to have his graduation, so it was all virtual. But
Yeah, well,
what it means to us is
he's a week out apparently, and yeah, it was silly actually for our audience. So he's 8th grade, and the assignment from the administration was a 5-second video of the graduate coming around a corner, wherever,
Right,
your
right.
house, whatever it is, and
as best it could be. But
silly, silly.
I wasn't able to be there for my grandson's graduation from kindergarten, but I know his little sister was there rooting him on, and it just
right.
Jim Walsh, congratulations, because you're gonna love it.
Oh,
You're gonna love it.
Absolutely.
Make sure your phone is charged so you can take pictures, because that's all you're gonna do.
Right. So, Jim, we're just recommending that you tell your son, name the baby, if it's a boy, Mono, and the middle name, Mono.
Or if it's twins, mono and mono, uno and dos.
So, Mono Walsh.
And anyway, so those are my shout outs. And again, I just wanted to give a shout out to Lucy and Kenneth Bowers out in Santa Barbara, California,
Okay.
who have just joined on board and listening to the show. And from our Spanish speaking, so if we have to do this in Spanish one time,
Are we
we'll give it
simulcasting Telemundo yet?
Univision. No, but shout out to them and George Robles and Mama Luce. These are our big fans, and they follow us as well.
Of course. Thank you so much, of course.
So, Steve, listen, thanks for bringing up some of the points I might have missed, and I'm glad we talked about it, but this is what we do. But the most important thing is send us an email at sportswithmono@gmail.com. And Paul Lawless and all my Niagara guys, I haven't heard from you, so
Yeah,
use your rollover minutes. All right? Thanks for joining us, everybody. Steve?
that's it. Have a great week, and thanks as always for listening. Sportswithmono and mono@gmail.com.
And we will be back next week.
Bye-bye.